And here we go. Are we? Yes, we're relatively smooth. Hi, how you doing? Thank you for joining me on this lovely hump day. It's Hal Sparks, and I couldn't be happier that you're here. Now, I am playing with fire today. We have the new setup, and I am trying to reinsert all the other cool gadgets and wit-wats and ding-dongs and whippity-doos that I used to have in the stream, and if it brings the whole thing to a grinding halt, but what do you want me to do? I'm operating still during semi-COVID. I don't have somebody here flipping the switches on the other side of the computer. It's all me. This is what I run things on. I have this, and it's my buttons for my scenes, and I have a trackpad, and this pretty much it. And then I'm typing, and that's all. So fingers crossed. We won't run into any huge trouble today. Thank you. Yes, new computer. Who dis? Thank you, Raphael. And of course, thanks to for the super chat to Jenny Diver. She says, "Great stream, Hal. Your Senator Kenny impersonation is the greatest thing I've ever seen." That's amazing, because I wouldn't even put him in my top 5. Ooh, boy, oh boy. I love this little inside for any of you folks that if you know what that's from. My respect for you has grown immensely. If you don't, you might want to ask around, fix yourself. It's a good time. That today, of course, the big thing is that I suppose Steve Bannon is under the impression that Mike Lindell's money, his checks are still clearing. That's really what he's thinking. It's got to be. There's no other reason for this. Now, there are folks down in Fulton County. There are people in Philadelphia right now. There's people in Arizona from the whole, the gaggle of humans that is around Mike Lindell that are trying all the forensic audits where they're looking for bamboo shoots in the ballots and all that kind of stuff. And the interesting thing about this that I keep hearing from anybody who addresses this is that because you're addressing this, you must be scared. You must be nervous. I must have struck a nerve. It couldn't be that we see this as an attack on democracy and it's awful, and we're concerned for the cult members who might go too far and decide that the tree of patriotism needs to be watered with the blood of tyrants, and by tyrants they mean, election volunteers that work for the county every 2 years. It couldn't be that. It's that, oh my God, we really think there's something going on, and they're going to catch us, and trouble is good, and we're scared because Orange Man bad, that President Trump is going to take over again, and he's going to run things, and the cabal is upset. It couldn't possibly be that we're concerned that they fomented violence on January 6th, and by continuing this bullshit, they are driving the same kind of people who went crazy on the 6th into even further fits of madness that will result in kind of Ted Kaczynski-esque moments in our democracy, or I guess the really Timothy McVeigh zone of things. It's not that. It's a guy, we're just nervous. We're just, they're going to catch us. Right, that's the big fear. And that is, by the way, Steve Bannon's favorite rhetorical tool, is the idea that if he lies nonstop and Mike Lindell's, flicking money everywhere to get other people to clamor for that money and lie on his behalf, and they're drumming up all this BS all over the country to the point where they're actually doing, I think they're planning an audit in Oklahoma, where Trump won hands down, right, by 30 some odd percent. They want to audit there because they can't believe the popular vote's what's stacked against. They can't believe 30% of the populace in Oklahoma voted for Biden, even though it's right in line with the Republican and Democratic statistics in the state. It's not, don't think about that. None of your business. What you need to know is that we're nervous, the left is nervous that they're going to catch everything. Okay, so and we're so nervous because August is approaching. It's like winter's coming, but dumber. It's August is approaching, and that's when Mike Lindell said that Donald Trump was going to be back in office. Now, I'm going to change scenes right now. What you're going to see is shocking. Many of you have never seen an alcoholic butthole wearing headphones, a photo of it. It's frightening. You may never recover. You might want to turn away. I would recommend that you shield your... Yeah, there it is. That's it. That's pretty darn awful. Yeah. But you know, the health of our democracy relies on this very man, who is, from a podcast he is doing in front of his mantelpiece on Real America's Voice, an anti-China pro-China channel on, I guess, just Rumble. I guess they've got their own channel on like Roku. You can download it, right? Yeah. Steve the Hutt, who, even though he is dealing again with the most serious of seriously serious issues, can't be bothered to shower. He's taken a page out of the Dennis Miller book of how to treat your audience right. Now, granted, we're all watching him on video, so we don't have to be in studio smelling the boy. But he's got on Mike Lindell because Mike Lindell is buying pillow ads on the show, and also America Third. So let's see. I'm curious to hear what the new evidence is. I'm prepared to be shocked. I'm prepared to have my world rocked, as are you. Say, hey, serious now. We're taking this very seriously. Serious is seriousness. All right? Bannon, what gonorrhea looks like under a microscope? That's mean to gonorrhea. All right, here we go. I'm curious. Let's see.
Guess where? In the cesspool that is the election officials of Georgia, as Peter Navarro says. Hard evidence today. Garland Favreau, 10:30. We're going to go there live with Real America's Voice. Todd Wood's going to be in.
It's very exciting. This is like NPR covering the Hindenburg.
Beforehand, we've got Blake Masters. Blake just announced running for the United States Senate in Arizona. Oh. Blake Masters, also Colonel West. Packed show. So much to get through, but we're going to start with, by the way, John Frederick's Radio and AM 1690 down in Atlanta, our new station down there. I want to welcome everybody in Georgia. Massive breaking.
So, by the way, Steve Bannon is trying to take over, Georgia, like along with like Bongino and others, the Rush Limbaugh spot. The problem they have is that, you know, Bongino is just not the man. Sean Hannity probably has the best shot at it just because of his sycophantic crowd. And Bannon's just that. So it's really not going to... Like, I don't know who fills the slot. I mean, by the way, of all of them, if you had to pick... You'd never seen Rush Limbaugh, but you had to pick him out of a lineup based on what you know of his character and his use of substances. More than likely, if it was, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Bongino, and Bannon, you would go, that's got to be Rush Limbaugh, right? That's got to be him, right?
And other news coming from Arizona. Got to start with Mike Lindell. Mike,
why do you have to start with Mike Lindell? Oh, because he's paying for all this. That's right. Just clarify.
MSNBC has now decided that you're the cause of all this turmoil in the nation. That you're the ultimate bad guy because of what you're doing and all your analysis data. Remember.
No, Steve. They do not. No one at MSNBC thinks Mike Lindell is that important. Honest to God, like this is the top of it. Me doing his shit on my show is the top level of seriousness that anybody takes Mike Lindell. I mean, that isn't a sycophantic follower. That isn't Roseanne. You know what I'm saying? That isn't a former Q adrift in a sea of horseshit. I'm it. I don't even think he's that dangerous. But certainly MSNBC doesn't. Like they don't think he's the joke point. You could argue that Mike Lindell is one of the biggest factors why the news is not taking this stuff seriously. I'm not kidding. If Mike Pillow actually wanted to contribute to the cause of, finding out voter fraud and overturning the election and reinstalling Trump as the dictator for life in line with his two buddies, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. If he really wanted to help, and Mike, I know some of your people are listening. You can tell they're the ones with headphones on, snickering, looking at their phone nearby. Yeah, they'll pass this on. Can you, one of you guys, pass this on to Mike? If Mike wanted to help, he would just pay for shit and never go on camera. Because nobody screws the pooch for this whole endeavor. Maybe Rudy Giuliani. Maybe Rudy Giuliani is a worse spokesperson for this. But even he has backed away from it. I mean, he's got other issues. But, all right, well, we'll see.
I remember, just for the audience.
Yes, Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr, for those of you that haven't been with us for very long, we've covered some of Roseanne's videos. She went full Q, and then after it was revealed by moi, and then later by HBO and other sources, who Q was, Ron and Jim Watkins' father-son team, she went offline, basically. There was a moment of like, there's going to be an awakening. She bought some shit from somebody else for like a day, posted half a video, and then foof, gone again.
It's the ground game is in Arizona. The other, another third recount going on with the tripartite full forensic audit out there. One part of that is the machines, but the basic driving force of that.
Asshole. The third recount is because they want to count the shit they get back from these people. They have to make sure that the stuff you return is the same as the stuff they gave you. That's not another recount. That's not a sign that they didn't trust the election. That's a sign that they don't trust you.
Is the forensic audit of the ballots. Garland Favorito is going to show you today, Georgia, the old-fashioned way. In Fulton County and other places throughout the state, of which they violated state law the old-fashioned way, not dealing with really machines or cyber. Mike Lindell's the air game. He's got this...
He's the air game. That's no way to talk about the space between Mike's ears. That's just rude.
Theory of the case. He says he can prove he's got the data to back it up. And he's going to go 3 days in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The 10th...
Why is he suing Falls, South Dakota? I've never been to Falls, South Dakota. It seems lovely. Bannon looks like he's been in several bar fights just today. Yikes. Lindell, wow. Yeah. He's what we call in the business a mess. A hot mess. Of which, by the way, we have more hot mess stories in a little bit. But I suppose I should have those up.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So, okay, let's continue.
10th, 11th, and 12th of August to prove it. So, Mike, why is MSNBC saying you're the new devil? You're stirring up insurrection. You're a bad guy. You're a dangerous guy. Why is?
Yeah, that's how they're talking about him. He's a dangerous guy.
MSNBC on you, sir.
Well, I guess nothing's let up, but now as soon as now that I'm having this symposium to just lay it all on the table, I believe that they're just afraid. And
yeah. I'm shaking in my boots. If this symposium is anywhere near as technical and well thought out as absolute proof, absolute evidence, absolute 9-0, or absolute what was the other one? Turd Blossom. I forget the fourth one. There was a fourth. The third one was really a shortened version of the second one. But was the second one a shortened version of the first one? I don't know. We've done them all and they all bridge together. I'm very upset that you're going to be, I guess, raiding a Geek Squad at a Best Buy.
And
MSNBC did not call him a devil. I don't know what. Maybe they're referring to somebody going, yeah, he's nuts. This is dangerous stuff. And they're going, he's the most dangerous. You know what I mean?
Should be happy because whether you're a Democrat or Republican, this is going to unite the country and show that this.
Have they accepted? Have they?
Yeah, say it again. Back up. You know what I mean? By the way, add this to the clip reel of Steve Bannon has got dementia and can't put a thought together. So I can do my A being their Biden clips.
Accepted your invitation to come. Are they scheduled to come to Sioux Falls on the 10th?
Yeah, the MSNBC folks are definitely. They're beating down the door. I want to go. Can I go? Can I live stream from there?
11, 12. Is MSNBC said they're coming with the team to go through your data?
A team. Yeah, they're sending. We got some top-notch people.
We're getting them all out in the next 2 days.
Yeah, anytime right after in the next 2 days.
All the invitations, and we'll be reaching out to everyone.
Oh, okay. So you're getting the invitations out in the next 2 days, and it'll get there in the mail in a week. Then you can look at your schedule, see if you got the time, or like if you could shoehorn somebody in.
One in the media. Remember, everybody, it's not public. This is this.
What? Why is it not public? What are you hiding?
Cyber forensic experts that we'll be reaching out to, and the media. And when I say
public media or
media, you got to have credentials. You can't just they're going to be very thoroughly checked out. And then also,
so Steve Bannon can't come because he's not real media. Is that what you're saying?
All the politicians.
I've definitely been denied. I can't get a laminate clearly from this.
Your state senators, your governors, your secretary of states, your attorney generals. We're going to have them all there. And I've had hundreds of requests already, Steve.
Yeah, hundreds. Almost dozens.
From politicians. So there's everybody wants to find out what's going, to see all this. And I got it.
Yeah, everybody wants to come.
Into it with the reporter at CPAC too. They're attacking me from every angle here, trying to, discredit. I was on the phone with one yesterday from Bloomberg, and this guy's going. I go, "What are you new?" I go, "No, I'm putting this all out there. You guys can come."
Yeah.
And he's just trying to discredit everything.
Okay, note to self, Mike Lindell. They don't care. In fact, the reason why do you think this is information warfare? Why is MSNBC all of a sudden singling Mike Lindell and he's talking?
They're not. They tacitly mention him because he's a character. Because the fact that Mike Pillow is the guy funneling money into this bullshit is fucking hilarious. That's why. That's the only reason. Okay? Seriously, there are dozens of other assholes linked to this thing. None of them hug a pillow for a living in infomercials ads on your network and buy their way onto every right-wing network with ads. Do you not understand how batshit that is? Of course he's the person who's getting name dropped. He's fucking ridiculous. He's cracked out of his fucking gourd.
Talking about August, and he's talking about the president because they understand they don't want to deal with what's happening in Arizona right now. They're not going to cover Garland Favorito's press conference at 10:30. They don't want to see that you've got experts. And by the way, you're putting the data out there. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you.
Yeah, then you come back, you buy some more ads. We pretend you've got a case. We drag you around by your nose, Mike, and we pay for this show for the next 6 months based on you buying my pillow ads. And all I got to do is kiss your rosy ass about once every 3 days and make fun of you to your fucking face. Mike Bannon, listen to me. Steve Bannon makes fun of Mike Pillow to his fucking face and then rolls an ad for My Pillow into his broadcast. We've seen it. You guys have seen this with me. Steve Bannon doesn't buy this bullshit.
You wasted time and money. They don't want to see that. They have no interest in that. What they have an interest is demonizing you. That's what they have an interest in, demonizing you and every...
No. By the way, for the record, I don't know anybody who's going, Mike Pillow is evil. They're all going, what a deluded sap. Seriously. It's kind of amazing. It's kind of a special thing that when people talk about Mike Pillow, they don't go, they don't talk about him like Jim Jordan and, wrestling team sexual assaults or the like. They don't talk about him in those terms. They talk about him like, he might be insane and other people are stealing his money on this madness. He actually kind of comes out as a lovable simp in this. Am I not right? Like that every time. Yes, and absolutely Bannon is exploiting this guy who Bannon believes is mentally not all there, for the record. No bullshit, okay? Steve Bannon thinks Mike Pillow is an idiot and might be mentally damaged, and he is just clinging and titting off him to keep his show on the air, and it's gross.
Everybody that follows you, do you understand this point yet? That they're not there to be fair. They're not going to put reporters on here. They're calling and say, yeah, Mike, I really thought that in-string. I remember your data from the first movie. And does it compare? That's not. They don't care. They haven't read it. They haven't looked at it. They're not going to look at it. They're not going to.
I watched all of them. Fuck you, Steve Bannon. I watched all of them. I went through them all the way. I did them live streamed in front of everybody. I stand by what I said. I stand by everything I called out. Steve Bannon has not watched these fucking things. Okay? For the record, I'm calling you out, Steve Bannon. There is no way you watched all 4 of those stupid docu-movies. There's no way. And I don't even think he would claim that.
Not going to read it. They don't care. They don't want to see the fact.
No, all of them, all the way through. I watched all of them, and Cognito in our chat room. And you guys know it because I did it live on the air. That's
why when you say unite the country, that's maybe a coin flip. Because I think it's a lot of vested interest that's saying, I don't like Mike Lindell, and I don't like what Mike Lindell's doing. What do you say?
Bullshit. It has nothing. As a matter of fact, I got to admit, I kind of like this dipshit. I feel sorry for him. Never, like, even in doing all my shows, one of the reasons why we laugh so much is because I don't actually treat him like a genuine threat. Steve Bannon's fucking gross. Steve Bannon is an awful human being. Mike Lindell, I have to say, I feel like when I'm talking about somebody with CTE.
You say, sir?
Well, I'm talking about the people, uniting the people. When I go down the streets or whatever, I never have anybody.
P.S. That is Jesus behind a lion. So I don't know why the lion gets top billing. I think that is the weirdest of the Left Behind movies. The Left Behind, the Lion King, where Jesus comes back and is held up by Joseph, and they go, like, it's very odd.
But he come up with insanity.
But for the record, Kirk Cameron is awesome in it.
Anything bad or attack me or anything? It's all the media. It's all the media, and they're putting out some narrative. Mike said Donald Trump will be back in on August 13th. I never said that.
No, you said he would be back in August, and then you said mid-August. And don't back away from your bullshit. Buddy, come on.
I said after we do the symposium on the 10th, 11th, and 12th, anybody that watches this by the morning of the 13th, it's going to be the talk of the world going, hey, we need to get this election taken down, and we are. We're going to get it to the Supreme Court, and I've said it before. I believe our Donald Trump will be back in August, September. It'll be, it'll be as fast.
But hang over a second. You're getting ahead of yourself. Step one, you're going to show the data to prove it that it's irrefutable.
Yeah, totally.
That's step one, right? You show the world. 100%. Okay, so irrefutable. Then
100%. What was the software again?
Q-Snatch.
That's right.
What?
All right. 100%. You're going to show the data.
For whatever legal theory you guys have, you're going to get to the Supreme Court. Hey, I'm not a legal scholar, but you say, I got a legal theory, I got lawyers, I'm spending time and money, we're going to get to the Supreme Court.
Already ready to go.
The evidence.
Yeah, it's ready to go. But we're doing the symposium. It's more like a PR thing. I mean, the law doesn't give a rat's ass about whether or not a large group of people care or not. It would be really whether it's in line with the law or in line with the Constitution, one would think. But apparently, the key to this is get another January 6th stirred up so that they have to at least give lip service to it.
The evidence is going to be so overwhelming that it's going to be a 9-0.
Totally.
That's, in fact, your movie's name, 9-0. And after contingent upon...
Look at him. He's fucking laughing at him again. It's happening again. Watch Steve Bannon. He's like, and then it's going to be...
contingent upon 9-0.
Look at that. Look! 9-0. Steve, he's watching you. He's on camera. You can't talk about him like you talk about him the rest of the time when he's actually there.
And you believe that the Supreme Court is then going to somehow reverse the 2020 election and Donald Trump will be back. That's your theory of the case, correct?
It's not a theory. It's been done before. There's a precedent for this.
There is? Oh, that's right. I remember when Taft gotten that was kicked off Twitter?
Every elected official in our country, that they find out later that it doesn't matter if it's a month later, a year later, whatever it is, if they find a crime has been committed, i.e. election fraud, they put the real winner back in place.
Okay.
No, they don't. Ask Al Gore. By the way, the real winner is already in place.
Been done. It's just never happened at the presidential level.
Right.
So we're bringing a co-warrant vote to the Supreme Court, and we're letting them off the hook,
Right.
Look
Steve.
at the two of them.
Because they don't even have, they just look at it and say, yep, 100% it's true, 9-0.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, Elena Kagan's going to go, oh my God, mind blown. Had no idea. Why didn't I see this before? And why have I not been sleeping on a MyPillow this whole time?
But step one is you got to bring the receipts. You got to bring, like I said, you're the air game. The ground game is working because Arizona's working and Georgia's now working. And you're going to see that there's a firefight with Shapiro in Pennsylvania. They don't want to get near the Philadelphia, Fulton County, Maricopa County are all one and the same. And by the way, it's not Democrats. Has nothing to do with ethnicity.
Yeah. Don't spill the beans, Steve. It's because they're black cities. It's because there's a lot of black voters and you don't think they have the right to vote. Period. End of story.
Your race. The white Republicans in Maricopa are just as more incompetent, I think, than in Fulton County and in Philadelphia. So this has nothing to do with party. This is the
Yeah, you mean the white people in control of the black cities that you have a problem with because the black people didn't vote the way you wanted them to?
uniparty.
Or at all?
And that's what they're going after. Mike, any breaking news, we got to. So your point is the first step, nothing matters. If you can't show the data, and there's a lot of controversy about that. There's people.
Yeah, controversy. That's a good word.
Saying, good guys saying, hey, I don't think Mike's got it right. But
I've watched Bear Grylls. I know that you can technically, if you're lost in the desert or in the jungle or something and you're lacking water, you can drink water from an elephant turd. But there's a lot of controversy about whether or not you want to do it on a personal level.
Right, but we'll take.
It's a controversial. It's a controversial position.
Look, if you deliver the receipts, you believe it starts a chain of events that ultimately leads with Donald Trump coming back before 2024. Right. Is that your theory?
100%. It's Donald Trump 2021. That's what.
They had to cut away from Steve Bannon because he had to hit his cough button and start laughing.
There were signs everywhere that I was seeing. Okay. But I want to tell everybody this.
Yeah. That was an interesting little Freudian slip. I want to sell everybody this. And he meant to say tell, but he said sell. I find that interesting. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, what I have is the packet captures. We have all the packet.
Oh, fuck. We're relying on the packet capture shit again? You guys can see my previous Mike Pillow videos if you want to go back over the whole packet capture thing.
Captures for the election.
Captures.
So that's why it's non-subjective evidence. And now, if you didn't have them, then you do audits the other way, like they're doing in Arizona, Georgia, and everywhere. And you're going to prove it proves exactly the same thing. That
grifters are selling you a bunch of bullshit because you seem to have a never-ending supply of idiot money.
Line up, it's identical. And and I've said it before. This isn't a.
Except where, let's say in the packet capture stuff that they were showing, which largely shows a mixture of shit they made up and inserted, and media organizations the world over checking on the updates from certain crucial counties to see, they basically like refreshing a page to see who's winning and who's losing. And as the count goes down and it's clear that Trump is losing in these areas, they're like, holy shit, is that going to change? And they're refreshing and refreshing and refreshing. And so you see all this activity around these particular pages and, whatever. And then at the end of it, he's going to say that that's not Germany going, fuck, is Trump losing? And refreshing the page. And it's just a media organization checking the updates on the Secretary of State's that's actually right into the machine. Somebody's refreshing inside the machines, like somebody in Germany. God damn, this is dumb.
It isn't about a Republican or Democrat. You said it yourself. Look at Georgia. I think there's more corruption down there with Republicans blocking, like your Brian Kemp's blocking and obstructing,
Okay. Okay. Any news on Sioux Falls? We got to bounce. Any news on Sioux
We gotta bounce.
Falls that people need to
We're
know?
heading out there right when I get off the show. We're heading out there to go through the center and check it all out, and I'll have some.
Make sure that it's not there's no Wi-Fi hookups in there, that nobody can get in there with a thumb drive and fuck with everything. You're gonna do a sweep of the whole thing. Make sure there are no bugs. I've never been to Sioux Falls, North Dakota.
I'll have some great news tomorrow. But we're
Yeah, it's tomorrow. I mean, I should have been on the show tomorrow. Actually, you know what, Steve? That was my bad. I shouldn't have come on as a guest. You should have said like, "Hey, you want to come on today and we'll talk about your bullshit." I should have gone, "No, tell you what, I'll have more bullshit tomorrow. I'm not gonna be on the show tomorrow, but I'll have some great news tomorrow." I'm basically saying the same shit I've said for weeks today, but.
We're touring it today and getting everything set up, all the logistics. We'll have all news for you tomorrow with invitations, everything.
Yeah, what color are they? Are they is it bone colored? Are they nice to the? Is it a single card, which I think is classy, or are you doing the full open card? I'm very curious about that stuff. What's the gift bag like? That's what, as a media person, that's what I want to know.
Some people that have already committed to coming, and that's big news, and we'll tell you all about it.
Let me guess. OAN, Newsmax, Mike Lindell, Steve Bannon is sending somebody from the War Room. Sebastian Gorka, he's got some free time that weekend.
Tomorrow.
We're going to tease that we're going to have a very special announcement with Mike Lindell tomorrow. Very special at the top of the show. So
very exciting.
Everybody's got to tune. Mike Lindell will be back here tomorrow at 10. Okay, Mike, thank you very much. Epic.
All right,
we're not going to let
thanks.
MSNBC pick on you too much. Okay.
Epic. We're not going to let MSNBC pick on you too much. Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks. It's nice to know that the right wing doesn't have any snowflakes among them that can't stand up to, I guess, scrutiny or criticism from the mainstream. The lamestream media.
God bless you. I want to bring in now a young man who has stepped forward to say that I want to represent the state of Arizona as a Republican to go against Mark Kelly in the election that's coming up. Blake Masters. Blake.
This is going to be boring.
Chief Operating Officer of Teal Capital. You've been Peter Thiel's partner for a long time. You co-wrote the book, a fabulous book. I think it was 0 to 1. Came out a couple of years ago. We actually had, when I was doing Breitbart Radio in the morning, we had Peter on years ago when it came out. People loved that.
Was he supposed to be the captain of Peter Thiel's island oil rig country that he was going to move to and form his own country on an abandoned oil rig? And it would be just like a real country, except the United States Coast Guard would provide security. You get all the benefits of being a U.S. citizen and none of the bills.
Love that book. A great book on being an entrepreneur. In fact, you are an entrepreneur. You're a venture capitalist, but you're
the most important thing is you're a used book collector, and that's the most important thing.
You're Arizona. You're in Arizona.
He is Arizona. He is the welcome. I didn't know if you knew that Arizona's
a guy, right? I think you met your wife in middle school out there. What's your story?
Wait, was he in middle school too, dude? We have to ask. I mean, considering the circles you run in, Steve Bannon, please tell me he was in middle school when he met his wife in middle school.
Ties to Arizona.
Yeah, I grew up here in Tucson, and
I started hanging around middle schools when I was about 25. And had a great idea for some software that allows you to track some, like a 12-year-old girl in her habits.
I met my wife, as you said, in middle school.
It was Greensboro Middle School in Arizona. I was an assistant to the assistant vice principal. Wasn't an official title. I used to just skulk in the playground.
In Tucson. I stayed here through high school, and
as soon as she graduated and it was no longer a crime.
Went to Stanford Law School. That's where I met Peter Thiel. He came and taught a class. We wound up taking that class on startups, on entrepreneurship, and turning it into a book, 0 to 1, published in 2014.
Oh, so you just stole your professor's ideas and turned it into IC.
I've sold a couple million copies of that, and I've been working for and with Peter ever since. I run his nonprofit foundation, and also
all men are working for and with Peter at any given time.
So his investment firm. And Peter, Steve, we were all involved in the Trump transition team together, and he's always involved in politics and always causing trouble. So it's been a pleasure to do some interesting things with him.
Yeah, that's what you want in a politician. I want my politicians to cause trouble.
I don't think people realize that.
I don't think, because honestly, I think we can all agree there isn't enough trouble in the world. It's the one thing missing.
Peter Thiel was so important in the transition and really trying to of the disruption of the administrative state. Peter came in and said, hey, I want to bring a team in and really look through particularly
everything that's secret. I want to bring in a team of people and just go through anything that's top secret that could benefit me financially in the future. I mean, this is really like a gold mine.
The Cancer Institute, FCC, all the alphabet agencies, the entire administrative state. I think you headed that team that really tried to deconstruct it and say, here's what we want to do. And the blowback by the administrative state, and not just that, their allies in the Uniparty was just, I think it's a lesson, Blake, that you will not soon forget, right? It was real.
Gotta try that. It's amazing when you just kind of roll in as a dude who helped an Uber billionaire from, who created PayPal, and then eBay, and they can't even use PayPal anymore. It's amazing how when you roll in and tell people whose jobs are to protect the lives of other people how to do their job, they tell you to fuck off. It's weird, isn't it?
Real wake-up call. No, you will.
Yeah, it's almost like I went from an optional industry to a necessary one, started bossing everybody in a necessary group around like they were in an optional group, and weird.
Elect a president to go and be a change agent, to go and actually shake it up. And we saw the unelected bureaucracy almost from day one. And they were ready. They were ready to go. They reared their ugly head. And what you want to call it, the establishment, the uniparty, the machine, they were ready to make sure.
I don't know, which one's branded the most? Have we done a focus group on this? Blake, you and Peter should know that if we're going to do these kind of things, you have to get a focus group together. We can't just shotgun any name out there like Trump does with this call. There's 20 names for it. Nail it down. I mean, have we read the one thing or not?
That President Trump's agenda would be thwarted from day one.
Before we go to break, we got a
but by him.
Couple of minutes to break, and then we're going to bring you back in the next segment. Most people, like you, grow up conservatives. They come from a great state of Arizona. They got great parents to do this, and they go to Stanford, and something happens, right? You come out like Rachel Maddow, right? You don't come out like Blake Masters now. How did you go to?
Well, I don't know that she went in any different than she came out. No one radicalized. Are you suggesting she became a lesbian because she went to Stanford? I mean, in all fairness, his haircut is very close to Rachel's every so often,
Go to Stanford.
Just saying, when she gets a fresh cut.
And not get totally changed to come back and be some progressive lefty.
At Stanford, yeah.
Yeah, well, I knew who I was going in. I think my parents.
Yeah, I knew I was, and my girlfriend, she was in middle school still, and
did a good job. I was raised with commonsensical conservative values. I grew up Christian, and I just knew who I was going.
Are you one? Because I'm gonna guess if you're hanging out with Peter Thiel, you're not. I know you've got a cross. He's got a cross hanging on his wall. Visible in the background, but when people say I grew up Christian, it's usually what they say when they're no longer a Christian.
I was going in. I was a lot more libertarian then. I was on the Ron Paul train in 2008. I had a preference for John McCain over Barack Obama, for instance, but in 2008, it still seemed to me like that was a uniparty. So I was a Ron Paul libertarian, reading Mises and Hayek and all that stuff. Have gotten more conservative over time. But
so you realize that was bullshit and that you should have been all in on McCain if you actually cared about your values, but there was no money in it.
One thing I wasn't, one thing I saw a lot of at Stanford was just progressivism and how dangerous that ideology is. Most kids just go in to college, they actually have ambition, they think different things. You come out of this elite college machine, basically brainwashed, indoctrinated, dyed-in-the-wool progressive. It's pretty scary stuff.
Okay, Arizona.
Yeah, I'm frightened.
Arizona is obviously ground zero for two things. The 3 November project, as the Patriots out in Arizona move forward. It's got the border, and one of the most open borders in the country. And so we're going to return. We're going to talk to Blake Masters, who's running for the United States Senate, about what his positions are and what he's prepared to do. Action, action, action as a United States Senator to basically get to the
is the gin kicking in, Steve?
bottom of November 3rd, to get to bottom of election integrity, and also
At the bottom of the middle schools in Arizona.
Stop the invasion that's happening in the United States of America from the southern border.
The invasion. Oh, it's an invasion. That's right. Well, yeah, you know how you respond to an invasion. It's obviously it's a military act. You have to respond with a military action yourself. Otherwise, what are you even doing? Do you not recognize that this is an invasion? Don't you? We've got to open. I know you. They look like 8-year-olds to you. But they're little. When you see an 8-year-old crying in the desert, I see a ticking time bomb.
Today, later in the show, we're going to go to this protest about the genocide games, anti-Beijing, anti-CCP. They've been designated a genocide regime. Also going to get breaking news out of Cuba. They cut off the internet. They cut off the phone. This is how Marxism works, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get to all of it.
Yeah, we would have had a much more direct lines with the people if Trump hadn't scuttled the opening between us and Cuba at the request of Vladimir Putin.
Return in a moment with Blake Masters, running for the Senate in Arizona, next in the War Room.
Oh, I'm super excited. By the way, I had initially thought that the name of the show, by the way, is War Room Pandemic. And they have not dropped that logo, even though they largely sell the idea that it was a plandemic and that it isn't real. But I do see some consistency in the use of the biohazard symbol, considering the myriad of skin diseases that it is clear that Steve Bannon has. Ooh, a barf barf. By the way, how's video and audio today? Is it choppy? Is it smooth? I haven't had a chance to check. I'm always nervous about stuff working. I know there's a little bit of drag on my end when I see it go out. Good? Oh, thank you guys so much. By the way, I forgot. Today's episode is not brought to you by our non-sponsor, Free Dumb Phone. For those of you that don't know, Free Dumb Phone is...
Name one time in history.
Is brought to you by a young man who has Carrie Elwes's hair from 1991, and I never had a wide chin beard like that. Like, I don't know if he's like a Amish Sim. We'll see, or whatever. But this is an ad for a new conservative service. I'm sure you'll all use it. It's called Free Dumb Phone.
History, where the people who banned books, media, and opinions were the good guys. Hi, I'm Eric.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin
By the way, Eric.
millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech.
So you're not going to do this. You're going straight analog then. He's leaving big tech to fight for free speech. That's it. He's done with it. He's going to start a newspaper and a business of what are called freedom cootie catchers, where you can go like, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States Confederacy, and then you turn over, pick a color, and then pick pick a number, 88, okay, and pick all right, it's too random.
Because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech,
and giving you lots of free, royalty-free music to play in ads, which you clearly got off of the Google site that lets you find. You Googled this music, just saying.
And I think that's so wrong.
It's so wrong. There's guys.
That's why I created the Freedom Phone.
The Freedom Phone.
And its uncensorable app store.
And its uncensorable app store.
Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone. So I did. Freedom Phone truly is the best phone in the world.
It's the best phone, guys. It's got like 9 apps.
It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority.
Fabulous. So I'm gonna guess that it's just a burner phone you bought from a Chinese company. What's the substructure on it? It's a Huawei phone, isn't it?
That's why we built our own app store that is completely
Patriapp. 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 Patriapp.
uncensored. If an app you love has been banned from the mainstream app stores,
Yeah. Your Stormfront, child porn, snuff films, you want it? You can find it in the Patriot App Store.
you can still download it on ours.
Yeah, you can get, and honestly, it's in there. If you want one that's like, that stalkers use to follow middle school girls around in let's say, I don't know, off the top of my head, Arizona, that app is in the Patriot App Store.
Because we don't ban apps, period.
Yeah, no apps are banned, period. If they, believe me, the Ku Klux Klan's, hookup site, Whiter, what is it called? WHITR in all caps. The dating app that only swipes right.
And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking.
So basically it's useless if you want to use it like how most people use it. Like, it doesn't work at Starbucks. You can't use it for directions.
Because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to trust. Trust is our privacy guard.
Yeah, just trust him. Doesn't he look trustworthy to you? Guys, if you can't trust a guy who will allow a snuff film app on your phone, who can you trust? If you can't, if a human trafficker is having a hard time downloading his dark web app, this is the guy he calls. Doesn't he look trustworthy?
It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you and gives you the option to stop it.
Yeah, all phones have that.
Your data, your rules.
Yeah, and your white supremacy hand signal, right? Got to throw that in, otherwise you won't know I'm on the team. By the way, this is the OK symbol. It is not a white supremacy symbol. It was started as a troll on Reddit. I'm not giving the OK symbol to white supremacists. Fuck that. No, you do not get to, look, we let you guys have a Tibetan symbol. That's it. That's all you get. You don't get to usurp, Nordic gods. You don't get to just use anything you want all right, well, I guess we can't, none of us can say that anymore. You can't wear a red cross on your shirt anymore because, you support the Red Cross now because it's a white supremacist Nazi thing. Sorry, they get to have it. They claim it, it's theirs. Fuck that.
That's our motto.
Yeah, thank you, Can't Stop Lying. Yeah, this is the OK symbol. And the greatest display of the OK symbol was Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop, and it ever shall be so.
The Freedom Phone is comparable to the best smartphones on the market.
Yeah, it's rectangular. It's got glass on the front and some sort of camera. That you can compare it to that. It can be held in your hand.
Has an edge-to-edge screen, a super fast processor, and multiple cameras. And your SIM card transfers into the Freedom Phone seamlessly.
Yeah, it's a burner. You made a fucking burner. Seriously.
Big tech companies hold a monopoly on public communication and the dissemination of information, and they are abusing that power.
By the way, I'm going to need to see the specs on this thing, and if he doesn't freely show the specs to the world, what is he hiding? It's a Huawei phone.
Nobody elected Mark or Jack to be the arbiters of truth in America.
And nobody elected you to buy a Huawei phone and release it into the United States with spyware built in, but a little trust sticker on it.
Yet they still thought it was okay to ban a sitting president from their platforms. If they censor a president, they will censor anyone.
Well, no, I mean, not anyone has the power to invoke it, an insurrection and make it actually happen. So a flailing nudnik in the middle of nowhere isn't going to get the same kind of scrutiny someone in a position of power says. And therefore, if a doctor or a president or somebody in a senator or something is saying some shit that's really off the reservation, it carries with it the force of authority and therefore requires more scrutiny than just the average citizen. So no, That's not the case, because the president was allowed to do stuff that got other people kicked off for a very long time. He actually got special treatment. But anyways, show us your Huawei phone again.
Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg censored MLK or Abraham Lincoln.
I can. It'd be great. Yeah. Like if he was in the Telegraph studio, just like took someone's hand off of it and then hopped on a jet ski or something.
The course of history would have been altered forever. Out of all the constitutional amendments,
it comes in a nice box.
There's a reason why the founding fathers made the right to free speech the very first. I believe you have a voice that deserves to be heard without being censored.
And he's talking to you, human traffickers, child pornographers, and snuff film directors, budding snuff film directors. You've got a phone to call your next victim, whether they know it or not. Who says they have to be willing participants? They can't track who you are. That's right. Yeah, if you want to stalk your ex-girlfriend, like the FBI couldn't even ever ask. It just won't work. This is awesome.
Protect yourself from big tech censorship.
And when you meet your next middle school wife,
let your voice be heard.
Yeah, unless you don't want it to be heard, which is by the authorities or your victims, of course, because that helps, you know. I mean, you get like, what if Mark Zuckerberg had censored Abraham Lincoln or MLK? Well, then there'd been like a myriad of other sources where people could have heard it, and if they didn't hear it, they'd go, fuck it, I'm not going there anymore. That's what would have happened. But what if there was no way to interrupt a massive human trafficking group because of assholes like this? Oh, that shit does happen. Okay.
Live free with the Freedom Phone.
Free dumb phone. And music for the snuff filmmaker in you. Yes, today's episode is not brought to you by future snuff filmmakers of the world who are using the Freedom Phone, who are busting down the door of the free dumb store to get their free dumb phone. And nothing to worry about, though, folks. Please don't concern yourself. And how long have I been on today? I've been my regular amount of time. By the way, over the last, it's hard to keep track anymore. I gotta say, of the number of times that the Sean Hannity's of the world and Tucker Carlson and all that crowd have complained that that Trump is being pilloried and vilified, and people just don't want to recognize what a great leader he was and how he did everything right. And the way that they convey that is to cut together, splice together moments where he actually gets whole sentences out, and never play things like when he's going, God bless, and meanwhile, anytime Biden takes a pause or has a stutter episode, that is clearly an example. Hold on, let me make sure this doesn't pop up in the middle of it. Let's see, let me find that. Hold on. I'm looking for a clip real quick that I had up a moment ago, and then I brought it down. But over the course, and then they'll put together, a massive. Well, it's not even massive. It's like 8 moments on all these. I guess here you go. Let me see if this is this is one of the newer. So yesterday, Biden comes out and talks about how we need to pass the HR 1 and HR 4. I think the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which basically reinstitutes the voting right, the elements of the Voting Rights Act that the SCOTUS said, I don't think we need that anymore. And then Republicans all over the country proved, we did need that. It was the only thing holding them back. And but this is it's a rough day for Sean Hannity when he's got to explain to us how he love flag, we no love flag. So this is Hannity torches this one's called Hannity torches Biden's bizarre speech labeling GOP voting laws un-American.
Breaking today, extremely troubling rhetoric from the president of the
Yeah, it's very troubling. I'm troubled. You were troubled. It's just trouble.
United States.
Good trouble.
If you are one of millions of Americans who disagree with the radical policies put forth by the Democratic Party, watch out, because Joe Biden, well, he referred his political opponents today, referred to them as domestic enemies. Where's the media that got so upset?
You mean, well, okay, well, I'll wait till he finishes.
When Donald Trump said the media is an enemy of the people because they lie and tell fake news. Anyway, he's saying they're working to subvert American democracy.
Oh, I know what he's talking about. He said all threats, foreign and domestic. And so when he said threats, foreign and domestic, he thinks he means directly individual human beings as threats to our democracy, as opposed to actions they're taking or strategies by groups of people or people trying to undermine it from within. That threat that exists is the same as saying, we're back to the whole deplorables are all because Hillary Clinton called a portion of Trump supporters deplorables and said there was a basket of them. You could put, a lot, these people you can reach, these people are clearly in a basket of deplorables. That what she means is all Trump supporters are deplorable, and so they jump on that. And, it's kind of like Donald Trump marries a woman, and in that marriage believes he can have sex with that woman anytime he wants because she's his wife, and therefore she's now in the basket of wife, which means all women are his wife, and he can have sex with them anytime he wants. See this? All right.
In a set of prepared remarks, this wasn't off the cuff.
By the way, Biden's foot is healing. You can tell by his gaits getting wider.
Suited for a despotic socialist dictator, Frank.
Despotic socialist dictator.
Joe Biden said that our country is facing its most significant test since the Civil War. Echoing Jen Psaki because...
No, Jen Psaki echoes him. She's the spokesperson. She says what they actually... They have a meeting. Oh, God. How long has he been doing this and he doesn't know how media works?
All state legislatures, why? They're requiring voter ID, like his state, standardized early voting, chain of custody, integrity and verification for all ballots. And now, according to whoever wrote Joe's speech...
Yeah, that's not the worrisome part. It isn't. As a matter of fact, modifications are being made to H.R. 1 and H.R. 4 to reflect some of those things. The problem they have is the idea that the state legislature can just, if they don't like the outcome of an election, pick a new group of electors and send those electors to Washington to fuck with our entire election. That's the stick-out part. The rest of that stuff is just foliage.
Any Republican that supports integrity laws so we can have confidence in election results is what? An enemy of the state? And of course, Joe Biden, as always, invoking Jim Crow once again. Take a watch.
Take a watch. I have an Apple Watch. Will that do? I didn't take it. I purchased it. I don't know why Sean Hannity is encouraging people to steal.
21st century Jim Crow assault is real. It's unrelenting. There's an unfolding assault taking place in America today, an attempt to suppress and subvert the right to vote and fair and free elections, an assault on democracy, an assault on liberty. I swore an oath to you, to God, to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. And that's an oath that forms a sacred trust to defend America against all threats, both foreign and domestic. The assault on free and fair elections is just such a threat, literally. I've said it before. We're facing the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. That's not hyperbole. Since the Civil War.
Most
right.
significant test since the Civil War. It's not hyperbole. It's a civil war. Okay.
No, it's not the Civil War. Why did we all, Sean, why did we all just watch the clip you played and we understood the words that were coming out of his mouth even though you were editing the clips and you put it together, hats off for actually using the actual sentences all the way through. But how did we just listen to that and you grabbed "It's the Civil War"? How's your tiny little pea brain work?
according to that bizarre speech, anyone that supports basic voter integrity laws is pretty much un-American unless...
No, because there's basic, quote-unquote, voter integrity aspects to the actual H.R. 1 and H.R. 4. It's the part where the elected officials in the state Senate specifically can overturn the will of the people at their whim that is very concerning.
Unless, of course, you're a Democrat like Joe. To that end, Joe Biden is now empowering his Department of Justice. He's weaponizing them, frankly.
Yeah, Frank Lee is one of the worst people there. He just comes in a guns a-blazing. Hold on, I have to shrink this down. But there you go. So you can see I want you to be able to see the Fiverr graphics. He paid $2.75 for him. You got to like.
Attorney General Merrick Garland is currently suing the state of Georgia over their new voter laws, but he's not suing Joe Biden's home state of Delaware that he's represented about 5,000 years, which are far more restrictive. There's far less access. Take a look at your screen. Georgia, they allow 17 days, they actually mandate 17 days of early in-person voting.
Mm-hmm.
Delaware has no in-person early voting. In Georgia,
Delaware has no in-person, or let's see, Delaware voting. Let's see. Let's see. All the time. Doesn't have standard residence cards. So you're there. Voter identification. They do use voter identification, and here's what you can use: Delaware driver's license or state ID, a U.S. passport, signed polling place or social security card, signed vehicle registration, signed credit card with photo, a similar document that identifies the person by photo or signature. So anything even close to any of those things will work. Let's see, poll times. Polls are open from 7 to 8 Eastern time. Let's see, primary election. Let's see, absentee voting. A Delaware voter is eligible to vote absentee in an election where he or she cannot make it to the polls on election day for one of the three following reasons: voters in public service in the United States, spouse dependent, voters' work, schooling, or care responsibility prevents them from going to the polls. This applies to caretakers, students, otherwise eligible persons who are incarcerated. Otherwise eligible persons who are incarcerated. That's a lift. Okay, so some incarcerated people can still vote. The voter is sick or temporarily, permanently, physically disabled. The voter is on vacation. You can actually, that's pretty broad for a reason for absentee. The voter's religious beliefs prevent him or her from coming to the polls. Let's see, early voting. Delaware does not permit early voting at all. As of April 2021, 38 states and the District of Columbia permitted early voting. Early voting permits citizens to cast ballots in person. States that do not permit early voting still permit some or all citizens to vote early by mail, often known as absentee voting. So basically, they don't have, So you have you have early voting. They just do it by mail, which is why he said in person. Very important distinction. So they allow anybody, for any reason you need, to vote by mail early. Doesn't cost you a stamp. You just don't have to come in. All right. So there we go. So that's the 0 days, whatever. There's no limit on it then. You can vote early as soon as you get your ballot in the mail. And excuse needed, apparently not. And then drop boxes are required by law, and they're not required by law. They're available, but they're not required by law.
Georgia, anyone can vote absentee. You're right. In Delaware, no, you've got to give an excuse and meet specific requirements.
Yeah, we looked at those. They're pretty lax.
In Georgia, drop boxes for absentee.
They include, by the way, the reason for absentee voting in Delaware, that's the excuse you need, includes being on vacation.
Ballots, they're available at county election offices all over the state. It's mandated. Delaware has 0 drop boxes for absentee ballots. Both states
no, they do have them. They're just not required by law.
Require voter ID. Joe never lifted a finger to make voting more accessible in Delaware, and it's not just Delaware.
Let's see, what's the Delaware voter turnout? Hold on. Delaware voter turnout. Let's see. Election history 2019 said voter turnout. Let's see. Election results turnout. Oh, that's Delaware County. State of Delaware. Department of Elections. Registered voter totals by, okay, that's the registered voter total statistics. Hold on. Election results, state of Delaware, Department of Elections for 2020. Let's see, official presidential election results, official general election results. Let's see. There you go. This is the turnout. Districts reporting. Let's see. Let's see. Here's the primaries. Rocky de la Fuente got 11% in the Republican primary in Delaware. That's fascinating. Let's see. That's the primary. Where am I having? I want the actual turnout, you crazy person. Here's 2020, state of Delaware. Official presidential primary general election results. Here we go. Biden got 58%. Trump got 39%. Howie Hawkins got 0.42%. Joe Jorgensen got 0.99%. 1%. There you go. Coons and Representative. How about the? Let's see. 60. Let's see. They had 68% voter turnout of the registered ones, with 439. Let's see. Does this have? Where do we go for? Is there a see full report? So they had 68% voter turnout. Could have been higher. You could argue that if they had less issues, they could have more people show up. Let's see. By office, voter turnout. Click on there. Nope. Is there a thing in there? There it is. Okay. So by counties, I guess, ballots cast is 11,000 out of 17,000 registered voters. You got 63% in District 1. You got 51% here. Some of these areas had 71%, 71%, 71%. So the bigger counties had weighed down the number a little bit, or the bigger town areas, or the districts in there, dragged down the overall Sussex. I mean, there's some pretty good turnout by district in here. Just a couple of these with large numbers of people that had smaller turnout that made the number closer to 68%. 509,000 ballots cast, 739,570 registered, 68%, 68.86 turnout in the general election. Nothing to sneeze at as far as turnout and volume of human beings. Could be higher.
Wisconsin requires voter ID. Rhode Island requires photo ID. Hawaii, you actually have to recite your date of birth and address. In Oregon, residents who don't vote
but you have to sing it
regularly, you can be automatically canceled from the voter rolls. In Connecticut, Minnesota, New York, voters must meet certain requirements in order to vote absentee.
Yeah, but all of these states that have even the voter ID ones, especially if you're looking at Delaware, you're allowed to use a lot of different documents for voter ID instead of a state or federal issued ID. You have a lot of options in these states for photo ID. The problem with a lot of these is that it narrows what counts. NRA membership card counts, college ID does not. See what I mean? Yeah, that's kind of one of the standouts.
Unlike Georgia, none of these deep blue states are facing a lawsuit from this now emboldened, weaponized DOJ of Joe Biden. Not one. Clearly
it has something to do with how the laws are carried out, not that the laws exist, and how much the citizenry trust their people in charge versus the other states.
The left's hysteria over Georgia and now Texas has nothing to do at all in any way about civil rights. It is beyond hyperbole. It's civil destructive.
Rights. Civil rights.
They're playing the race card.
You mean vote?
Oh, this is the worst challenge to our democracy since the Civil War? Really? Then why, Joe, have you never lifted a finger in the decades and decades, frankly centuries it seems, that you've served?
Oh, because he's old, right? I see.
Your state of Delaware. You never lifted a finger.
Because they didn't have a problem with it. There's not big signs of people being disenfranchised in the states. As a matter of fact, Delaware wasn't one of the states that in the previous version of the Voting Rights Act was singled out by legislation to make sure that they cleared anything they did with the with the federal government. That might be why.
Merrick Garland, where's your integrity? Why are you suing Joe's state of Delaware
Because they don't have a problem.
that has far more restrictive laws than in the great state of Georgia?
Well, they don't. Let's see. Well, first of all, I don't know that the voter ID requirements, Georgia. So look that up. Let's see. What IDs are acceptable? Yeah, here's why. Remember always, Joe, just like in Delaware, you can use even a credit card if it has a picture on it. You can use a signed Social Security card. Here's what you have to use when you're in Georgia. Okay, let me blow this up a little bit so you guys can see it. Any valid state or federal issued photo ID, including a free ID card issued by your county's registrar office or court, Georgia Department of Driver Services. Georgia driver's license, even if expired. Valid employee photo ID from any branch, department, agency entitled in the U.S. government, Georgia, or any county, municipality, board, authority. You can be a government employee and you can do it. Valid U.S. passport ID, that can't be expired. Valid U.S. military photo ID, that can't be expired. Valid tribal photo ID you can use. That's why. And by the way, none of these are free. Yeah, you don't just get these. I mean, I suppose maybe the government IDs, you get those because of part of your job, right? But a Georgia's driver's license costs money. So does a U.S. passport. So does a military photo ID. I guess you have to get a valid one to fill out afterwards if you've left the service. That'll be an interesting question. And then a valid tribal photo ID, which I don't know what that qualifies and which tribes they're talking about in particular or just in general across the country. But, that's fairly vague. But that's why. I mean, we just looked at the Delaware ones. It's way more open. You just got to prove you're you.
And by the way, everything to do with what? I can only think of the only reason you don't want voter ID, signature verification, chain of custody controls, partisan observers observing, and
everybody has partisan observers observing. You just can't charge the place with partisan observers that didn't sign up.
And cleaning up the voter rolls has got to happen.
They do clean up the voter rolls. You just don't clean up the voter rolls when people don't have any reason to be cleaned from the rolls.
Nefarious intentions. I would think this is a non-political issue. So ask yourself, why aren't Democrats worried about ballot harvesting and election fraud and integrity in our vote so every American could have...
Why am I not worried about it? Oh, I know I'm not worried about it because it's not a significant threat. I mean, I think there should be regulations around it, for example, to keep it clean. But I'm not concerned. I don't wake up in a cold sweat going, oh my God, can you imagine how many Latinos will get to vote?
Confidence in our results. Now, tonight, Joe actually accidentally answered that question out loud because according to Biden, it's not just about access to voting, but also who gets to count the votes. This is very interesting. Take a look.
That's what the bills are doing. All right.
It's no longer just about who gets to vote or making it easier for eligible voters to vote. It's about who gets to count the vote. Who gets to count whether or not your vote counted at all.
That's why I want partisan observers on all sides to watch the count start to finish. If Democrats get their way, these far-left bureaucrats in D.C., well, I guess they'll be counting those votes, writing every election law, literally usurping the Constitution.
Yeah, he's lost. He's lost at this point.
Constitutional power.
He's like, they're going to, and then the world
of state legislature
will fall apart.
That's what HR and SR1 has always been about. It has nothing to do with voting rights.
It does not have anything to do with voting rights. Absolutely true. Voting is completely left out, and I think that's wrong. Wear a life preserver, kids.
Nothing to do with centralized power, and frankly, the nefarious.
Credit, by the way, where credit's due. A moving graphic, still shitty, But, centralization of power, it's a lot of syllables to say what you're saying. What? Asshole. Power grab. What? You see what I mean? No? All right.
Motives of Democrats that think the only way they can win is to have no checks and balances. The Democratic swamp, they want control of everything. The left's argument that minorities and rural voters, as Kamala Harris suggested yesterday, they just don't have access. They may not be smart enough to get a photo ID or register to vote, is complete and total BS.
Slam for claiming rural Americans can't photocopy their IDs. It's not a matter of whether they can't or not. It's that you're adding a cost. Any cost you add that somebody has to go through to provide their ID for something, if you have to turn in a photocopy of your ID with it, that adds an extra step both to your day or to what you have. If you have a scanner printer at home and you can afford it, run it right off. If you don't, that's another step in whether or not you'll vote. And anytime, if you add 1 cent to the cost of voting, it's a poll tax. And if you get away with it, you can start adding any poll tax you want because you've created a slippery slope to making you have to charge people to come in the building.
And quite frankly, it is insulting, beyond insulting.
No, it isn't. It's protective.
To millions of Americans. And
if you're insulted, you can afford it. If you're feeling insulted by this, then it ain't your problem. She's not who you're not who she's talking about. Do you understand how that works? She's not if you're like, I can too, then she's not talking about you, asshole.
And that's not stopping Kamala Harris from going on national TV, perpetuating this argument in the worst, most despicable way, frankly, possible.
Oh my God, the worst, most despicable way possible? She's not going to show a picture of Alan Dershowitz, is she?
Take a look.
Is agreeing to voter ID one of those compromises that you'd support?
I don't think that we should underestimate what that could mean. Because in some people's mind, that means, well, you're going to have to Xerox or photocopy your ID to send it in to prove you are who you are. Well, there are a whole lot of people, especially people who live in rural communities, who don't. There's no Kinko's, there's no Office Max near them.
You can make the accommodations, really, Kamala? Now, of course, a large majority of Americans, including 59% of...
By the way, what the fuck does this have to do with what she was just asked about? If you have to photocopy and send your ID in with your ballot when you send it in? Yeah, it does. You either have to have a scanner printer of your very own, and it works, and you have to have the ink to print it out because you're not just like sending in a PDF. Of course this isn't, and again, bitching about this, if you're going, that's offensive to me. Well, that's because you can't afford it. It ain't your problem. And as a matter of fact, more than likely, it shows that you don't give a shit about the people who can't, and therefore you are the one being offensive to millions of rural white Americans.
Of African Americans, they believe photo ID requirements do not discriminate against certain.
At the polls. At the polls. Hi, dum-dum. Sean. At the polls. She's talking about rural voters voting by mail and making them have to send in a copy of their photo ID in with the actual envelope. Adding a step to their life to vote that costs them money, which sets a legal precedent wherein you can charge people money to vote. Fuck that. And this poll you're about to cite, because you're a big fire hydrant-headed dum-dum, says these people think that it's fine, this number of people anyway, think it's fine to require photo identification at the polls. At the polls. Because if you've already gotten there, they're not going to go, yeah, I know you showed it to me, but I'm going to need you to go across the street to Kinko's and pay for a copy of it and bring it the fuck back and hand it in. We don't have photocopiers here. See, that would be illegal because it would be charging people to vote. How dumb? This dumb. Sean, you're a moron. Don't follow up a clip. And this is the second time in this one. The second time that he has played something and said something was said during the previous clip that was not said. Hell, this shows on all the time.
Certain voters, in addition to photo ID, what are the important things here? We talk about them all often, and every state should adopt these, our top 5. And that is, if you want integrity in our elections, confidence in the results, photo ID, signature verification, chain of custody integrity.
What does chain of custody integrity mean? Okay, in a bunch of these states, chain of custody integrity, that sounds good. Doesn't that sound good? I'm for chain of custody integrity, right? What they mean is, if you live alone, you have to have somebody in the house when you sign off, either a notary or some other person, God knows who the fuck that person is, a verifiable signature of a second party, to sign your ballot, that witness that you filled out your ballot. Never mind the fact, I suppose, that other person could have filled yours out and then signed their name as well. And that's weird. But somehow that's reassuring to Sean Hannity. But the idea that if you live alone or you don't have somebody there that can, like if you're a single mom with children and your children are all minors and you're, in the middle of a pandemic, let's say, and you have to fill out your own ballot and no one can come over, or you're ill, or you have an autoimmune disorder, or any myriad of reasons why an American would be in a situation where they just don't have another adult in the house or nearby, or they can come over to as they fill out their ballot, to sit there and go, yep, that's you, and then notarize it for them, allegedly, as they mail it in. And then if they go and drop it off at a drop box, there's a bunch of states that are saying drop boxes don't count because, not because people can throw in fake ballots, because that can be verified. You can tell that somebody's fake. But that somebody's going to burn up the box and somehow arson, right? That's the other one. Fucking hell. It's easy for them to do identity theft. Exactly, Sweet Indigo. Who's going to volunteer now when everybody has to mail in their fucking ID?
Voter roll updates for every election.
They do that all the time.
And partisan observers. That means Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Green Party, Libertarians. They all should be allowed to have observers from every political side to watch the counting.
Yeah, there are. They do. You do. But you don't get to have more of one side. Sean, dum-dum. That was the problem in a bunch of these places. They had election observers already signed up, already volunteered, already had done this multiple times and multiple elections. But then because Trump was like, it's going to be stolen, that a bunch of these assholes decided to storm counting centers and barge in saying we deserve to watch whether we don't believe this is fair. Meanwhile, there already is a Republican in there as the viewer.
Up close, start to finish. The state of Texas is now attempting to implement similar protections, but in order to block that vote, Democratic state leaders, they're leaving Texas in order to prevent a quorum.
To prevent?
In the State House. See them, and they're in that plane right there.
That's a bus, dumb shit. It's a bus. It's a fucking bus. Look at the windows. Smiling House Dems fly off to D.C. on a private jet with a case of Miller Lite, breaking the... Okay, this is Dan Patrick's thing. That's the bus. That's their bus on the way. She's standing up, they're in a bus. You can see out the back. It's a fucking bus. You're dumb, they're dumb, Dan Patrick's dumb, you're dumb. I dumb.
I don't see any masks.
It's a bus.
Either. The very same Democrats.
They're all vaccinated. They're all flying together in a private jet and a private group. They're not out in public. They're not going to a public airport. And they're on a bus. Again, not an airplane, a bus. With nice wooden floors, by the way. It's classy.
Democrats are called the filibuster and affront to democracy.
That's a plane. See how that's a bus? That's a plane. That's a bus. That's a plane. That's a bus. Plane, bus, plane. bus, plane. See how that works? See how they look? Just so you know. Photo from Democrat on the plane. It's important.
They got on their private jet without a mask. They set off.
Yeah, because they're flying together with other vaccinated people. They're on a private jet. They flew private. They don't have to wear masks. By the way, is Sean Hannity saying that people on private jets should be forced to wear masks? What kind of anti-freedom pandemic bullshit is this? Right, who's working for the CCP now?
Set off for one big expensive vacation to Washington, D.C. to temporarily prevent a vote. Make no mistake, these images perfectly encapsulate the modern Democratic leftist New Green Deal Party.
How so? Oh, because they're using a private plane because they could be held up at a public airport and stopped by the governor from flying out. They had to fly out. They had to use a private plane to escape, lest they be arrested, so that they could get away. Sean Hannity's going to say they flew private, therefore they're using more carbon because they don't give a shit. Sean, did you follow through? And thank you, Lulu. Sean's idiocy is unbearable. I would never watch it without you. Thanks for making it fun. I try, Lulu, because don't forget, a lot of people take Sean Hannity seriously. I don't know why, but I mean, this dude is awfully hilarious. But let me guess, he's going to go Green New Deal, the hypocrisy because they're flying on a private plane, and then does he name drop John Kerry? Do you think so?
The rules do not apply to them. The only thing that really matters is their status, centralized power right there in the swamp. Hey, Sean Hannity here.
What? Hold on. First they're on a bus, then they're on a plane, now they're at a podium. He didn't even, literally, he ran out of time to bring up the rules don't apply to them. They don't have to wear masks, even though you don't have to wear masks. On a private gathering, if everybody's been vaccinated, it's like, oh, fuck.
Is their status, centralized power right there in the swamp.
Well, they don't have status or centralized power. They're actually leaving Texas. They're going to D.C. because they're making their case while they're there. But they could go anywhere outside the state because the state police don't have jurisdiction to go bring them back. So, but you're right. You know what? Sean? You're right. Status is it's terrible. Thank you, Blitzkrieg, for resubscribing on Prime for 12 months. I appreciate that. Lulu, girl, thank you again. And Sweet Indigo, thank you for the super chat. And that's a great point, by the way, that you made earlier. It's easy for them to do identity theft and those things. I wanted to go past that. And Deborah Smith said, make a federal database where all citizens have to have their photo and fingerprints for voting. Then the Republicans will back off voter suppression. Yeah, most driver IDs now, they do one finger, either your index or your thumb. And I'm down with that. Because there was a period at which you're like, oh shit, they're going to copy your thumbprint, and then there'll be a perfect thumbprint. Every time whatever. My argument would be is, if you were really paranoid about that, just draw make a little, just scratch your fingerprint. Just make a big scratch through the center of it. Doesn't even have to be hard. You don't even have to break the skin really. Just make a scratch and then do it, and then it'll heal. And then if they're like, we found your thumbprint at the scene of the crime, and they're like, oh, let's see what it looks like, and it's got a big scratch through the center, you'll know it was lifted from the record as opposed from your actual thumb, and you'll go, dun, 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 no scratch. That had happened only on the day in question. Your Honor, case dismissed. So, yeah. And by the way, Sean Hannity is wearing an American flag with a Israel symbol over top of it, I believe. Is that what's on the thing? But status. That's the important thing. Good Lord. It's good. This is fun because we can kind of have missed out on some of these things. Now, I want to do something real quick. We hold on. Hold on. Go away. So a lot of the news has been about Tucker Carlson and the NSA and all that kind of stuff, and he went on Maria Bartiromo's, and that, for such a huge story, it turned out to be a real punch bowl hot drop And that turd floated to the bottom, and nobody at Fox seems to notice or care. They're just drinking the punch and moving on as if it's not still in the bowl. And no one is more angry about that, I think, than Tucker Carlson. Because Tucker himself has decided that, that he's going to be, like, everybody's saying he's the new Alex Jones. I disagree. I think he's he's not the new Alex Jones. He's sort of like a chimera that was made when, if Glenn Greenwald and Alex Jones had an illegitimate child that was raised in a private school by wolves that taught it to read but were closet white supremacists. Work with me. They would be Tucker Carlson. That's who he would be. He looks like he's doing very well. Thank you, Francie. And don't forget, like and subscribe, give a thumbs up to the show, click below, comment, all that kind of stuff. I never say comment below. I always forget that. And I end up spending a couple days like going, I should see what the comments are. And it's a lot of people going, nice job, thanks, funny, blah, blah, blah. And then there's these occasional like, click this link. And then they're like, oh, that's awful. And then I have to clean up a link of dirty stuff. And I know you guys are doing it. It's like this. It's right on the tier of awful that shows up in commentary. It's right below Facebook, where all the Facebook folks have an annoying tendency to be like, Dr. Udualo Gambewa has cured me of my genital warts, and he can too. Just call this WhatsApp number and have your credit card ready. And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. In the middle of the show, I'm like, scroll, hold, block. It's such a pain in the ass. All right, so thank you, Brian. How the hell do conservatives back Israel when Israel has abortion? Hi, Hal. I agree, Brian. Israel is pro-choice. It's fascinating. They also seem to back Russia, even though Russia's gun laws are way more egregious than ours. But here's my theory on that. Basically, Russia is a white ethno-state. It's a majority white ethno-state. And maybe they think we only need guns because of minorities. Like, you think like if they broomed all the minorities out of the country, Republicans would go, why are these guns around? This is terrible. Someone could get hurt. It's a theory. I'll stick to it. It works for me. But anyway, sorry. We woke last we saw Tucker Carlson. He was just waking up from his nap. And everybody gets this little flat hair thing when they wake you up in time to do your show. Also, I think it's a time slot thing, but Tucker Carlson has continued to style his hair closer and closer to Rachel Maddow's do over the last year and a half. I don't think it's an accident. 1-800-DEMON SPERM.
Well, we've been spied on by the Biden administration. There's not a lot you can do about it. You can make...
You can lie about it. I mean, obviously. Thank you, Mark. Like the Tarzan look for today's hair rocking. Thanks very much. Yeah, it's good. It's feeling all right. It's not too blown out. It's and it's like down the back, man. It's starting to get long. It's like past here. Look at that. That's like, oh, I'm so excited. Oh, HD breakout. Thank you. And thank you, Joe Carter. I'm glowing. That's very sweet. That's because I have a light down here that is helping me with the green screen. That's very sweet of you to say. And by the way, Tucker Carlson has not been spied on by the Biden administration. I mean, we shouldn't be shocked that he's pulling shit out of his ass, but this is NSA monitors Tucker for committing journalism. First of all, when did he ever commit journalism? So you're saying the NSA has never monitored you?
You can make noise about it and seem outraged, but in the end...
Seem outraged? Making noise? That sounds an awful lot like bullshit. Making noise and seeming outraged sounds like lying.
In the end, you don't really have a lot of recourse. You learn a lot about your democracy when that happens to you. One thing...
Yeah, if you want to know that I'm trying to do that. Well, like, yeah.
thing you can do is file a
Yeah, it's the only thing you can do.
Freedom of Information Act request seeking any call records, texts, or emails that the NSA got from you, or in this case, us. And so we did that. We haven't heard back from the NSA, probably won't for a long time.
Yeah, because they're like, what do we got at Tucker Carlson shit? just the snuff films he downloaded just recently on his Freedom phone, but that's pretty much it. I mean, we're building a case, but we're really looking for the actual director of the snuff film. It's a Cosby Weinstein production, but we don't know who the director is yet. We're hoping to find out. But yeah, Tucker signed up for $9 a month.
They did promptly respond, however, to some stooge at The Intercept, which is some joke billionaire-funded website,
where Glenn Greenwald used to work, a regular guest of your show, and until about 3 months ago, you were a supporter of it because it was anti-American, but only because Democrat be bad.
This guy filed a FOIA request about our FOIA request, and then wrote on Twitter this: "I've obtained under FOIA the FOIA request Tucker Carlson sent the NSA." So what's interesting is, and it really does kind of crystallize the total degradation of American journalism.
Yeah, that what you're doing tonight, you're trying to pass off as journalism, and that this asshole is basically doing a TMZ bit about your bullshit.
The Intercept was...
Yes, this is the absolute snail's ass of journalism, brought to you by Tucker Carlson.
Founded
to
push back against...
Are you... Okay.
Against the surveillance state. Was
Who talks like this?
Founded by Glenn Greenwald. And now, of course, they're busy covering it up and cheering it on. You wonder, instead of FOIAing our...
Thank you, Lulu. The funny part of their continual rage is that they choose to live in rage. I think that can't be a great life. Oh no, they're fucking miserable. Can you imagine, like, the best emotion you ever experience being a temporary, smug sense of superiority? Doesn't happen often. When it does, you're very aware of it. You try to, like, light a fire. You try to shove a Bunsen burner of ego underneath it to keep it going as long as possible. But it fades quickly when the ratings come in.
Our FOIA requests, what are you going to find there? Nothing.
Well, yeah, no, you're going to find... Well, I mean, obviously, your FOIA request is itself nothing. So maybe you're right.
Want to figure out what the NSA...
Reporters now siding with the surveillance state. Or quite possibly calling bullshit on your victim, like, I don't know, what do we call, like victim carding of the surveillance state is now attacking you?
NSA is doing, the largest intel agency in the world. That might occupy your time. That might be a virtuous thing to do. Doesn't occur.
No, it didn't occur to them that in covering the NSA and dealing with the real shit it might be doing that's wrong and making sure that you kind of sheepdog it into the best behavior you can, that in it would never come up that you buy Tucker Carlson's bullshit. Why would that never occur to anyone?
Because, of course, they support it and its successes. Jonathan Turley is a law professor at...
Of course they support it and it's all of its successes. Oh, Jonathan
George
Turley.
Washington University.
Hello.
He knows a lot about this subject. He joins us tonight. Professor, thanks so much for coming on. Now,
yeah, thanks for being here, John. John, and do me a favor. Answer all of his questions as if they're actually grounded in reality, and you're not talking to a PR stunt in a tie.
Now, I realize the FOIA request from The Intercept is a lot easier because there's nothing classified that they need
Yeah. No, there isn't.
to respond to.
Left-wing journalists double down on defending the NSA after its monitoring of Tucker Carlson is confirmed. No. First of all, I don't know who left-wing journalists he's talking about. I guess he's talking about The Intercept. Double down on defending the NSA. I don't know that they're defending the NSA when they're just going after your FOIA request to see what you actually asked. To see if your FOIA request actually is something they can answer, and therefore you can... Because let's say I file something with the court, and it doesn't meet the criterion to actually be addressed by a judge. The filing date is wrong, there's no number on it, I didn't fill out all this stuff, and it's just summarily shelved and they blow it off. You didn't meet the thing, and they later on, 6 months from now, they'll write you a letter like, your request was denied because of this, because somebody else will get around to it because they actually have that's real. I'll deal with that. That's bullshit. I'll put that in the bullshit pile. We'll deal with the real stuff first, and we'll deal with the bullshit pile when and if we have time. And so his FOIA request is in the bullshit pile, and he knows it's going to go into the bullshit file. You file it because you want it to go into the bullshit file, so that if you can say months and months they haven't answered our request. Yeah, he didn't pay the fee.
So doesn't really explain why they filed it in the first place. If you're the Intercept and you've got some creepy billionaire paying the bills, like, why not get to the bottom of what the NSA is doing?
Well, maybe because they're not dealing with, that's not what that story's about. Maybe they got a bunch of stories that they're doing about what the NSA does, and then your story is just kind of a funny human interest. Like, think of it this way. There's stories about NSA overreach, and then there's Tucker Carlson as a squirrel on water skis, dropping little turds as he's pulled behind a tiny remote control boat. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just need a little giggle story in the middle of the serious stuff.
Has that occurred to anyone?
Yeah. Thanks, John. Okay, we'll see you next week.
Well, apparently...
Media care more about NSA FOIA than they care about the NSA unmasking a journalist. Unmasking a journalist? Oh, right, because you were constantly in contact with foreign terrorists, and they were like, oh shit, who's writing that? And they were like, oh, why does he want to hang out with him? I mean, it's weird that we get the interview ones all the time. We see these as 60 Minutes. They come through. We see these things come up because they go into the same email box. Nobody wants to have dinner beforehand and asks how Claire is. Does anybody? That's weird. You might want to put that on the real pile.
Apparently not a number of people who have remained relatively silent, the people that you would expect to be raising questions. I just testified in the House Judiciary Committee on the surveillance of reporters, and it was one of the few times...
Oh yeah? During the Trump administration, you mean?
...times in recent memory that there was bipartisan agreement.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like when it's real, people want to listen.
All of us who testified as experts, all the members in the room, agreed that we needed to fully investigate.
You guys will tell me if I ever, in my life, when I'm watching one of these videos, start to get Tucker face, right? What does that look? How do you even do that? Huh? He just always looks like a cartoon gopher just told him he's adopted.
Investigate whether journalists were...
What do you mean you're not my real dad? You mean I'm not a real gopher? Why'd you put me in that bow tie all those years?
Intercepted. That has not been the...
I should purse my lips more. My lips are far too big for that. He's got tiny little lips. Both these guys. You have to curl them back. I'm going to get a cramp in my cheek doing this. Seriously.
Been the response to this...
Oh, thanks so much for following. Yeah, we got some new followers today. Welcome. Everybody, don't forget, subscribe on the YouTube channel. What's wrong with you? Subscribe on it. For Christ's sake, on. I'm not one of these assholes who's got 9 channels. Don't forget to subscribe to my other channel where I have my own personal vlog. Just subscribe to this one. For crying out loud. Come on.
The story. Now, there's a couple of ways that your email...
His face looks like someone just told him he ate bull balls. These Rocky Mountain oysters are fantastic. They're not oysters. What?
might have been intercepted that would be lawful. You could have been...
Sorry, what was that, Jonathan?
That has not been the response to this story.
Yeah, because it's a story.
Now, there's a couple of ways that your emails might have been intercepted.
Yeah!
It would be lawful.
Yeah, that could happen. Yeah, it could be lawful.
You could have been corresponding with someone who is subject to an NSA surveillance.
Right.
Or that person may have forwarded your email to someone who was intercepted, but it doesn't explain the more troubling questions of how that information was circulated and also how your name
was not
masked. Now, you can unmask people in a surveillance document of that kind, but it requires...
After people have decided you should be masked after they see it. Does anybody think that electronic communications are such that they come up, like when the NSA or when the FBI or anybody is looking at shit, that they, when it comes through their feed, that suddenly, like, anything they read, they can only see the email address of the person they are surveilling legally. That the rest of it just blurs out until they get a judge to come over and go, yeah, I only see yeah, you can see the body of the text. Yeah, the body of the text. All right, let me see bring the links up. You sit over there. Bring the links up. Yeah, okay, all right. So, yeah, all the links can show. They just say, like, subscribe to, get an email address on Outlook or something. And then, all right, let me see what sit over there. I'm gonna peek at who it's to. Oh, fuck that. You can't see that. You're gonna have to wear these special glasses that cover half your eyes. You're only allowed to see above a certain line. What kind of Terry Gilliam contraption do these assholes think people are wearing at the NSA when they look at this stuff?
Requires someone to ask for unmasking, and there'd be no legitimate reason to do so here. Now,
Well, we don't know that. There may be an absolute reason. Like coordinating with people who were reaching out to foreign terrorists on coordination of January 6th, and you say something sympathetic, and how can I get you on my show afterwards to cover it in case anything happens? Like shit like that. That might be like, who the fuck is he talking to? Who's in the media that he's talking to? Well, I can't say unless the judge says it. Well, God damn it, we need to know, because look at the body of the text. You're sending me this redacted email, and in the body of the text, this fucker's saying, meet you for dinner, and then a murder happened 3 hours later. Who the fuck is this? Well, it's a media figure. Well, get a judge in here. Run this shit by him.
Now, if reporters were given that information...
They weren't. His supposed source inside there gave it to him and gave it to other people, other right-wing journalists. And he didn't tell them what was in it. He read him pieces of it, allegedly. But he hasn't said who that other journalist who he talked to is, probably at Newsmax or at Fox News or somebody else. Yeah. Who were you emailing, Tucker?
It would be even more serious.
Journalists ignore mounting evidence of NSA wrongdoing. He didn't just say that. That alleges, this little graphic here, makes it look like Jonathan Turley said that journalists are ignoring mounting evidence of NSA wrongdoing. I don't think he's making that assertion.
Serious, because even if your email itself was not classified, the intercept is. NSA and FOIA material is heavily classified. I do national security work, and it takes years for me to get access to a FISA warrant, I should say, or an NSA surveillance document. So the mere fact that they engaged in surveillance.
The NSA leaked Tucker's emails to journalists. Okay, first of all, so whatever comes out in those emails, let's just establish right now, it is 4:52 my time on Wednesday the 14th of the year of our Lord, 2021, that Tucker Carlson has, oh, Deanne, thank you for being a member on YouTube. I appreciate that. That at this moment, Tucker Carlson, on the air, has admitted that whatever emails come out are true and factual. See, unlike the emails that, allegedly were leaked from other people that they're like, I'm not commenting on that, you can't really tell if those emails are real, half real, completely fabricated. You don't know, right? And again, like we always say, you can't leak a lie, right? If it's a leak, it's true. And right now, NSA leaked Tucker Carlson's emails to journalists. So whatever comes out, whatever articles are coming out, eventually coming down the pike, that he's been called to comment on, but he's refused to comment on, Tucker Carlson is admitting, with Jonathan Turley as his witness, and you and I watching, that whatever it is that comes out is true. So if he ever tries to go, I didn't say that, too late. Sorry. You can't leak a lie.
Is classified. So it would be a serious federal crime. So
well,
the question
yeah,
is,
I mean,
why?
Well, yeah, but What about the person I sent it to sending it out to other people?
Well, I mean, because look, they intimidate people. The number of
Yeah, they intimidated by going, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Bye.
texts I got today from people, wow, everyone's afraid of the NSA and the.
No, everyone is not afraid of the NSA. I'm not afraid of the NSA. I'm not. I mean, as a citizen of a democracy, I want them operating with best principles within the confines of the law, and that if any extraordinary extraneous circumstances happen outside the law, that they either seek higher guidance for their behavior or cease and desist, or there's a follow-up change in the law because it should be within the realm of the law, and it's just kind of a gap in that. That's what I hope for, but I don't live in fear of the NSA. I would be really nervous about the NSA if I was playing footsie with terrorists or Russian oligarchs or North Koreans and trying to get some sort of financial arrangement out of it. That'd give me the cold sweats. Hell, CIA. Yeah. So I'm a Canadian idiot right.
And the
in absentia, yeah.
CIA, just to be totally clear. Lots of people in the last administration.
Hold on, wait.
Wow, everyone's afraid of the NSA and the CIA, just to be totally clear.
No. I'm not afraid of the CIA. I'm not. I don't think, it's not like I have any illusions that people in there can't do wrong. That's ridiculous. But nobody's afraid of them. And if they come for you, you go against, like, especially if you're on fucking nightly television. What are you talking about? You're completely protected.
Lots of people in the last administration were really afraid of them. That's true. I know.
Yeah, he did admit that he was emailing Russians. Yes, a Russian oligarch for an interview.
Firsthand.
Right.
A lot of people now were.
Yeah, the concern isn't what he said in the interview stuff, because nobody gives a shit. 60 Minutes interviews people. This has never come up. Their shit comes up, and they're like, oh, this is CNN. Oh, yeah, this is, Mike Wallace's producer sent an email to somebody like that. We found it. Like, who cares? Obviously, there's something in this that it goes beyond just, we'd like to interview you on our show.
Now we're really afraid of them. Do you want to live in a country where people are afraid of your intel agencies? Like, what is that?
It's a fantasy. You're making it up in your own head. I mean, there are certain times in history where I'm sure it's an issue. It ain't right now, and it certainly isn't with you. Like, even the average citizen who might get caught up in something and it's like, oh, shit, I was emailing a relative, and it turns out they were, that somebody, my sister married this dude, and he's got family in Hungary, and we were emailing back and forth. Turns out he's involved in, like, getting people in and out, or, of refugees in and out of Hungary that were coming in through the country, getting them around and into Greece and stuff like that, and he's being tried as a human trafficker, and I was emailing him, and we were trying to fly him back in for a holiday, and then it looks like they were getting called in for this thing that, like, some elaborate fucked up scheme where it turns out that you were embroiled in something you had no idea about. That's a reasonable fear that you might have if you have that extraordinary circumstance even possible in your life. None of that worries you at all if you're fucking Tucker Carlson. Well, maybe if you're fucking Tucker Carlson, but but then you're an employee, so that's something else. But if you're Tucker Carlson, and you don't worry about any of that stuff. My bank was a pain in the tush. I got my green badge back. Love you, Motan. Oh, thank you, Deanne.
Why are we accepting this?
Well, we're not accepting this. We're first of all, we're not accepting your premise. None of us have a problem dealing with the overreaches of the intelligence community or those kind of situations when you got people in there who are, where they're hammers that think everything's a nail. I get that. And reform the filibuster or abolish. I would go with reform Tony Clifton, but thank you for bringing that up. And Cynthia, thank you. I love my show as well, and I'm glad you do too. I try. You have to understand there's a difference between saying that, like, it's like if somebody faked being beaten up by the cops. You know what it's like? I'll tell you what it's like. It's exactly like this. It's exactly like, this is Tucker Carlson. This is what Tucker Carlson is. Just because thank you, Julie. Just because you think, aren't these, if you haven't done anything wrong, why are you worried crowd? Yeah, they are. That's who they are. Yeah, Julie, they are If you're not a criminal, why are you worried about the cops? Like, that's exactly what Fox News does all the time. If you'll recall, when the Jussie Smollett story dropped, I didn't say a lot about it. Because I was like, this seems a little weird. I don't know if this is gonna, what? You know, that was kind of my response at the time. And so I didn't really do a big story about it, and I didn't tweet a bunch about it, because I was like, this is gonna pan out some way. But like, my immediate gut reaction was, I found it very sketchy. Okay? And then it turned out it was complete fucking bullshit. And he hired these guys to fake this stuff and send himself the letter and blah, blah, blah. Now, here's my thing. Just because I and others call total bullshit on Jussie Smollett's nonsense does not mean that we are not concerned that white supremacists or racists might try to harm someone who's a well-known African-American person, celebrity, or a gay person. And that, as a matter of fact, that's a huge concern. And in people in that circumstance, I feel for them, and I want them protected. I don't want that shit to happen. And when it happens to them, I am, like everyone else, genuinely outraged. But that ain't this, right? And so in the case of Jussie Smollett, it's like the victimhood version of stolen valor. You got people who are genuinely up against racism, genuinely up against homophobia, who genuinely fear for their lives, and this fucker stages basically a PR stunt to try and raise his pay on Empire. It's horrible, right? For the record, Tucker Carlson is the Jussie Smollett of Fox News. That's it. That's what he's doing. He's just, and by the way, at the time, they were jumping on that story with both feet. It was guys in MAGA hats, and he claimed that it was Trump supporters in the middle of the night who beat him up in the snow after, and put a noose around his neck and poured bleach on him. And the whole story was egregious bullshit. Just loony. But because you would call bullshit on something like that does not mean that nullifies your concern for people who do find themselves in that situation. As a matter of fact, I was offended by what Jussie Smollett tried to do, because it makes it harder for people who are in that situation, who find themselves abused or the victims of hate crimes. He makes it harder for them. It creates doubt in the public awareness. People might not be as quick to defend somebody in that situation because of what he did. This is the same thing. Just because the NSA or the CIA or any of the intelligence community might overreach or do something that's beyond the pale, or those kind of things, that's a real concern. And it's something we really should focus on. But Tucker Carlson is using that genuine concern in that, that we all logically have, and just usurping it for his own victimhood. Just bullshit. And it undermines the genuine situations where the NSA or the CIA or the intelligence community overall, the IC, overreaches and does do harm. That's the problem. That's the essence of my problem with Tucker Carlson, besides his furrowed brow bullshit. You know what I mean? Is Wayne Brady going to have to choke a Tucker?
Well, one of the interesting aspects of this is a lot of people saying, well, this would be ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. As I testified...
No, it is ridiculous. He's ridiculous. You're ridiculous. This is ridiculous. The idea that the IC would overreach is not ridiculous. His accusations are ridiculous.
Just about a week ago in Judiciary, there is a almost seasonal regularity to this. That is, we have journalists who are
it's unmasking season.
Investigated in the
Get your skis out.
Bush administration, the Obama administration, the Trump administration, the Biden administration. And after every one of those scandals, there's the requisite apologies, promises of reform, and everyone goes away, and then the cycle continues.
Right. How about prison time?
Yeah, how about prison time? That's what's going to happen. Somebody in the NSA is going to prison because you got a Trump fan who's behind the unmasking wall, who's allowed to see that shit before it's masked for everybody else, called you illegally, leaked that to you and other right-wing journalists because you were fucking with them.
I mean, they tried to say, speaking of run amok intel agencies, they tried to send Roger Stone away for the rest of his life for inconsistent testimony.
He lied. Inconsistent testimony, he lied. He had to be pardoned by the president.
But none of these people, they thrive. They get MSNBC contracts. This is not sustainable.
Ken Klippenstein is not getting an MSNBC contract.
Someone needs to fix this.
Yeah, somebody needs to fix this. I mean, I really do think it needs fixing. Anything with a screw loose needs fixing, Tucker. It's a fucking lie. It's a lie. And the more concerning part of all this is that Tucker Carlson clearly is canoodling with a Trumpster that's still in the NSA, that is behind, has above top secret clearance or has top secret clearance, and is able to look at stuff before it is officially masked, and is passing that information on to Tucker Carlson or to other right-wing journalists or both. Yeah, Stone was witness tampering as well. Unmasked his foreskin. Ew.
For real. Jonathan Turley, I appreciate your efforts on this. I still don't even know what your politics are, but you've been right on.
What efforts? What efforts? He goes and talks about the real stories. You are usurping those stories for your own needs.
This for many, many years. Thank you.
I don't even know what mine are either.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Oh, that's sad. All right. So for the record, I call 100% bullshit. I'm going to do my own Mike Lindell docu-movie called 100% Bullshit on Tucker Carlson's entire NSA storyline. It is a flailing, lame attempt to bring back falling ratings. And this is just coming from me, the guy who just started live streaming this time last year and is one of the fastest growing shows on the YouTubes. That doesn't, of course, show fake homecoming videos of people pretending to be soldiers or cooking videos that show a lot of cleavage. Besides those, I'm doing very well. And in the world of liberals online, which is, I understand, a rare and a tight-knit community. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys sharing the show. It's been great, watching you guys do that. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It's very gratifying to see our regulars here. I look forward to seeing you guys every day. I genuinely, there are days where I'm like, I hope they're okay. They're doing all right, because we know the stories that go on in everybody's life. It's just a lovely thing, and I want to remind you guys of that. It's been on my mind a lot lately. I'm going to sign off, go feed my kid, and I will see you guys. Tomorrow's Thursday, of course, so I'll be on an hour earlier at 2 o'clock. And I very possibly might be on John's show either tomorrow or Saturday. We'll see. And then, of course, I've got gym in the morning, and I'm usually, because of the heat around here, completely wiped out. And by the way, anybody who goes to fwank.com, FWANQ.com, that's the Twitch channel. Thanks, everybody over there, for the hype trains. Thank you, Bloomin' for just extending their Tier 1 subscription through August. I appreciate that. That's really fantastic. I didn't know that you could do, multiple months on there on purpose. I'm always still lost on that. But thanks to everybody who is, Twitch in many ways is the backbone of the show, because when YouTube acts up, Twitch is the one area where we can really actually feel safe. We can stay on the air. So subscribing there and or following there helps us out immensely. But the fact that the ones that have just either migrated there or that's their primary thing, thank you guys for being Twitch fans. I appreciate it a lot. And everybody who just watches on Twitter, find a way to help out, will you? For crying out loud, these people are carrying all the work. Yes, I said fwank, FWANQ for the 17th letter of the alphabet. Fwank. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Happy hump day. Let me see if my buttons work. Hopefully they do. I don't know. By the way, new graphics too.